Welcome back, family, friends, and fellow movie lovers. Jeffrey Michael here. And welcome to a justified edition of Jeffrey Michael's Movie Reviews Extravaganza. I'm so excited right now. My birthday's coming up, September the 19th to be exact. And I'm going to celebrate big this year. Yep, I'm going on a week-long vacation to LA to stay with my old college buddy. It's going to be so much fun. But enough about me. No, this video is all about you. So, on with the movie reviews. In this video, I'll be reviewing the movies that were released on August the 31st, 2018. Okay, the first film that I'll review for you is Operation Finale, rated PG-13. It stars Oscar Isaac and Ben Kingsley, and was directed by Chris Weiss, who already brought you such films like About a Boy, The Golden Compass, Twilight Saga: New Moon, and A Better Life. Now, Operation Finale is inspired by a true story. Back in World War II, Adolf Hitler and all of his top SS officers, in order to avoid being captured, committed suicide. But there was one SS officer who did not. Instead, he fled. His name was Adolf Eichmann, and he was one of Hitler's most deadliest lieutenants. And so he fled to Argentina in order to hide out and, live the rest of his life in hiding. But then, in 1960, a group of Israeli intelligence officers, the Mossad, organized a team to track down Eichmann all the way to Argentina in order to try and capture him and whisk him out of the country back to Jerusalem, where he will stand trial for his heinous crimes. Justice. And so the movie starts off. We're introduced to Peter Malkin, played by Oscar Isaac. Everybody knows Oscar Isaac by now. He's Poe Dameron in the new Star Wars movies. Yeah, that guy. And he's a nice, great actor, I think. He's leading this group of the intelligence officers of the Mossad in this mission. And, you learn through his character that it's not just his noble duty to his country, but you reckon he's also doing it because of survivor's guilt. We find out through flashbacks that he lost his older sister and her 3 children to the Third Reich. And we learn, and then the movie takes us to Argentina, where we're introduced to Adolf Eichmann, played by Sir Ben Kingsley. By the way, he's just a dynamic actor, isn't he? Just electric. You can do no wrong. And we find out that Adolf is living under a pseudonym with his wife and his kids, and he looks like a nice guy. He takes care of his family. He's good to his wife. He goes to work and is a good member of his society. I mean, you would never guess that this man was what was once the architect of the final solution of the Third Reich. I mean, scary stuff. And so the movie begins. Peter Malkin and his group are, surveying the area. They're trying to figure out how the best way to capture him, and they're, taking pictures and, scoping out and seeing, this is what time we have to get him. This is when the bus drops him off. That's our window, when there's no cameras and it's dark alley that he's walking down, or dark path rather. And so, it's very, are they going to get him? Are they going to get him? Because you really want him to get captured. This is one of those movies where, you want to see the good guys really win out. And so about, I'd say about 1/3 through the movie, the mission goes down. And, there's a lot of close calls and near misses where it almost could have gone wrong completely. And eventually get him to their safe house. And they're all ready to get him out of the country. But here's where the rest of the movie, there's trouble. They can't get him out of the country. They need a written consent by him. But he's like, I will write my consent, but only if I go back to Germany, where I'll get a fair trial. If I go to Jerusalem, I will not get a good fair trial. And like, how are we going to get him to sign? And so the rest of the movie, they're trying to keep him safe in this safe house, away from the Argentinian police force from finding this kidnapping, because they don't know that he's a ex-SS officer. And so there's many scenes where they're trying to get, be alone with him in the room, and they're trying to, persuade him to sign, all sorts of ways, and he's not happening. And, you have Peter Malkin, and this is where the best scenes in the movie come from, when Peter and Adolf sit down face to face, and they have swapped stories, trying to get on his good side, because you have to treat him like a human. It's the only way that you can get him to sign, his logic goes. And we learned each of their stories, like where he went through and And then we learn that Adolf may not be the bad guy we all think he is, that he was just a pawn in all Hitler's plan. He had no choice. It's either I do what I'm told or I die. I didn't really want to do any of this. And you're like, do we really believe what he's saying, or is he just lying again? You don't know. I mean, that's a pretty, is he really as evil as we think? Does he really deserve a fair trial? And so then, throughout the movie, we have to see, we have to get that written consent, because, they're running out of time and those officers are getting closer to their safe house and they had to get him out of the country where he'll fly off and, stand his trial. Will it all happen? Well, if you're a historian, you already know the end of the story, but I have to say, overall, this movie was, I would say it's pretty good. It wasn't perfect. I mean, it did go through the usual cliches that are known for spy movies. Like all those near misses and how the extremely close calls. I mean, there's only so many times where it's like, okay, it's getting cliched here. And there are times where the pacing, because they're in the safe house for most of the movie, where it's a little slow and it's like, okay, I mean, it's a good thing we have all those dynamic acting, to keep your attention, your mind from drifting off. And I have to say the best scenes, like I said, were those scenes where, Peter and Adolf are, staring across each other and they're talking to each other and he's telling him a story about how he knew about a woman that he may have been his sister and he's ready to jump on him and kill him and you realize, oh my God, it's just so easy to become a monster and want to kill someone. And you realize just how it's ingrained in our human soul. Like even though these Nazis were evil, disgusting people, how easy it is to become a Nazi. I mean, you realize just how angry we can get in order to want to kill someone. And so those scenes, there was just jolts of electricity when they're, confronting each other. And, that's pretty much the bulk of the movie that I liked. Overall, I would give this movie a solid B, I think. Yeah, a good B. Would I recommend you all go see it? Yeah, if you want to go and see a movie where, justice is served and the good guys, are trying to bring down the bad guy and you really want to root for them, then yeah, for sure, go and see this movie. I mean, the acting is the best part of this movie. So Sir Ben Kingsley and Oscar Isaac just deliver two of the best performances of their careers, I think. And that alone is reason enough to go and see this movie. So, yeah, go ahead and see it. I recommend it, and when I recommend it, it's a good call. Moving on. So the next film that I'll review for you is Kin, rated PG-13. It stars Miles Truitt, Jack Reynor, James Franco, and Dennis Quaid, and is a directorial debut of twin brothers Jonathan and Josh Baker. Now, Kin is an interesting movie, to say the least. We're introduced to our main character, a 14-year-old black teenager named Eli, played by Miles Truitt. We find out that at a young age, he was adopted by a white family, and he lives in Detroit. And so the movie starts off, he got into a fight at school, and so he's suspended for a couple days. And he doesn't want to go home right away, so he goes to explore one of the abandoned buildings in Detroit. I live just outside Detroit, so I know there's quite a few of them. And he usually likes to steal copper wiring from these old abandoned buildings and sell them off for a profit. And on this day, when he goes to explore an abandoned building, he encounters something extraterrestrial. He at his hiding place inside the building, he sees these beings that look human, but they have their faces covered and they're wearing a lot of armor, and then these like highly technological guns. They're firing at each other, and they kill each other. And there's nothing but corpses left, so he comes in out of his hiding place and sees all these corpses, and he finds one of the guns was left behind. It's like this alien gun. It's very highly technologically advanced. And he doesn't know, and he hears security guards coming, so he takes the gun with him and wanders off back home. And when he gets home, we're introduced to his father, Hal, played by Dennis Quaid, and we find out that the mother actually died many years ago, and there's his other brother, Hal's biological son, Jimmy, played by Jack Reynor. He's just gotten out of prison on parole, and we find out that when he was in prison, he wanted to be protected, so these crime guys inside the jail, he said, you give us money when you get out, and we'll give you protection in here. And so when he gets out, he tells them, I need $60,000. What? I really need it, Dad. These guys are going to hurt me, and possibly you guys too. I need the money. Help me steal it from your employer. No, you got yourself into this mess. You got to be responsible here. And so when Hal later goes at night, to his office, where he works construction, he finds Jack and those crime lords are there, and he's trying to open the safe to give him the money. Jack, what are you doing? And in the crosshairs, the main crime lord, Taylor, played by James Franco, fires off the gun and shoots Hal. And then Jack grabs his gun and shoots and kills Taylor's brother. Uh-oh. And so, Hal and the brother are now dead. And Jimmy has no time to grieve. He immediately runs home and to Eli. Eli, we gotta go. What? Go? Where? Your dad. He can't bear to tell him that their dad died. Your dad has to work many late night hours now at the construction site. And so he said that, to make up for me, getting on parole, we're going on a vacation. Vacation? Yeah, Lake Tahoe. He's going to fly out there at the end of the week. We're going to drive out right now. Come on, pack your bags. And he's not making any sense, but, eventually Eli's convinced. And so he packs up his bags and he grabs his alien gun. And when his brother's not looking, he puts them both in the trunk of their truck. And then they take off, on the road, these two brothers. And meanwhile, those crime lords, to avenge, his brother's death, James Franco's character, Taylor, is trying to track them down in order to take them out. And meanwhile, back at that the abandoned building where he found the alien gun, we find these extra, either aliens or interdimensional beings. You don't know right away. And they have their faces covered, and they have these armor on, and they're trying to find their alien gun. And through using technology, they're able to track it, to the GPS kind of way, where it is. And so they get on their high technological, motorcycles, and they take off after them. So you got these crime lords, and you got these interdimensional beings, going after them at the same time. And all the while, they're trying to, bond along the way, these brothers, and trying to escape danger. And what will happen to them? You got to see to find out, I guess. Now, as for my review, I gotta say, this movie is a very uneven one, and here's why. It feels like the directors had these two great, ideas for movies. It's like, instead of making two movies, let's just push them together into one. There's this one movie where, interdimensional beings are chasing after this boy who took their gun, and, are they gonna, get him? And you got this other movie where these two brothers are on the run from crime lords, and, they're trying to bond along the way. And it sounds like, two great movies in and of itself, right? But instead, the director's like, oh no, let's just push them together, make one movie out of both of them. And there's the problem. It feels like two movies mushed together. I mean, it feels uneven tone. I mean, you've got this, movie where, they're trying to save these crime lords and they're trying to bond. Then you got these interdimensional beings that I feel like they came out of another movie, I mean, it could have been better if they made just two movies separate. That would have been great, and to see both at separate days. But when you put them together, it's like oil and water. They don't really gel well together much at all. And it's a shame because the acting is great and it's a funny movie. And when that boy first activates that alien gun and it shoots off and it's like a huge explosion, damn, he's got a deadly weapon in it, boy's hand. And on the way, he's trying to realize it's time to grow up and be a man, and he has to grow up fast because his brother is not really responsible, and the dad's gone along with the mom, and it's a sad story to tell, but it's kind of gets lost with all these, other story that's coming in, trying to take away from, this emotional journey you're trying to create here. And overall, I would give it a C+. I mean, it could have been better than it was. I mean, if it had been two separate movies, I might have given both those movies higher grades, but because they're mushed together, I got to give it a low grade of a C+. Would I recommend you see it? Only if you want to. Otherwise, no. I would just wait to see it for free. I mean, like I said, if it had been two movies, it would have been a great experience. I might have recommended both of them. But this one movie, no. Moving on. All right, the last film that I'll review for you is The Little Stranger, rated R. It stars Domhnall Gleeson, Ruth Wilson, Will Poulter, and Charlotte Rampling, and was directed by Lenny Abrahamson. Already brought you such films like What Richard Did, Frank, and one of my personal favorites, Room with Brie Larson. Now, The Little Stranger is based on a novel by Sarah Waters. The plot is set in England in the year 1948. We're introduced to a country doctor named Dr. Faraday, played by Domhnall Gleeson. As the movie starts off, he's called away to Hundreds Hall, which is a beautiful estate out in the English countryside. And he remembers this place because as a little boy, his mother used to work as a maid there. And he remembers one time when he was a little boy when they were invited to a party there by the owners, and he was just enamored by it because he and his mom grew up lower class. And he is just wants to live in this house, and he doesn't think he'll ever be back, so he tries to steal a souvenir by breaking off one of the ornaments from the wall. And his mother catches him and smacks him for vandalism. Ooh, good, not bad, good mom. And so years later, he's eager to go back to Hundreds Hall when he's called, for a doctor's appointment, a doctor's call. And once he gets to the estate, he meets Roderick Ayers, played by Will Poulter, who now owns the house. And he's not in a good state because he was a member of the Royal Air Force, the RAF, in England during World War II. And unfortunately, he suffered severe burns all down his body, and he has a gimp leg. Whew, makeup did a good job there, I thought. And we're introduced to his mother, who also lives there, Mrs. Ayers, played by Charlotte Rampling. And, she's still mourning and in not good spirits, depressed, because years ago she lost one of her daughters at a young age, Susan. And we're also introduced to her daughter and Roderick's sister, Carolyn, played by Ruth Wilson. And Faraday is just enamored by her. Ooh, he just falls for her. And, he, does his duty, as a doctor. He examines the patient, who's a maid who needs a doctor. And he decides, hey, can I come back? And so he comes back several times to see the estate. It's not in good state, because the family fortune has been falling down on financial troubles, and the state is in, it's being in dire state. It's desolate, and it's like very dirty, and, not been well kept up. And so he's a little saddened that this house is not in good spirits anymore. But he finds out soon enough that maybe there might be supernatural hauntings going on. And maybe that's why. And creepy things start happening the more he spends time at this house. There's a party there that they hold with a bunch of the family and a bunch of friends. And a little girl comes over, daughter of one of the friends, and their dog, who's usually so good, violently attacks her in another room. And you wonder, what caused the dog to do that? Could it be supernatural? And she's needs to have heal again. She's really badly hurt. And there's also sorts of strange things start happening. Like the maid's bell starts ringing on its own, or there's creepy creaks coming from upstairs. Wood floorboards are creaking, and you hear oohs, and you hear voices that don't seem to be there. And Roger explains to Faraday there's definitely spirits. Their mom thinks it's the ghost of their dead, sister. And she thinks, don't ridiculous. You're not of sound mind, because you just came from war and you're not all up there. And at one point, Roderick gets admitted to a mental institution when he tries to set the house on fire. And the mother, is still going to severe depression over their daughter and wonders if she's being haunted by her. And all the while, you're wondering, is it really supernatural, something going on here? Or could it be a human who's behind this? Someone who really wants this house all for themselves? Maybe a certain doctor? That's what I love about this movie, though, is that even at the end of the movie, they still don't tell you, what's going on. Is it supernatural or a person behind all these things? And that's what I love about it. First of all, my review is that this movie is spooky and it keeps you on your edge and your seat, and you're not sure, what's happening here. Are we really being haunted by ghosts? Is it a good old-fashioned ghost story, or is it a drama? Where it's this boy who's longing for this house that he's just enamored with since he was a boy, and he wants this. Lifestyle. It's one of the main themes of this movie is class envy. How we envy. He also envies this girl who's in love with Caroline, who's a higher class, and he's lower class. And overall, though, I would think this movie it's good, but it's also kind of not so great. Let me explain. The acting is great. The set direction, the costumes, and the makeup are all great. And the cinematography and the way the camera angles worked, to make you the spooky atmosphere all good. I just felt what was missing here was like a good spark, like something that makes it, from a pretty good movie to a great movie. And I felt like, though, I never got that spark. Like it needed that extra something, to give it a little more life. It wants to be this good old-fashioned ghost story. And it also wants to be this drama movie. And I feel like it could have gone really strongly in both directions. And it kind of just went, kind of lukewarm. Like, it could have done more than it was, but I still had a pretty good time watching it, though. Overall, I would give my grade a B-. It's a nice film overall, but would I recommend you go see it? If you want to, but I don't know if I would. See it for free. It's a nice, good old-fashioned, somewhat ghost story and a good old-fashioned, class envy drama. But together, I don't know. I just feel like I could have gone more. This is from the director of Room, which is one of my favorite films, like I mentioned, and I expected more from him, and so That's all. See it if you want to, but I can't recommend it then. So, moving on. I've got a plane to LA to catch pretty soon here, but I still gotta get through this recap. Recap. Operation Finale. B. A very well acted spy thriller about Israeli agents trying to bring down Hitler's deadliest lieutenant, despite some spy movie cliches. But I still recommend that you all go see it. Kin. C+. Wildly uneven tone of a film that feels like two different movies that were mushed together into one, and they just don't gel well together. I don't know if I can recommend this one. And finally, The Little Stranger, B-. A pretty good ghost story / drama that could have been more than it was. I guess they recommend it, but overall not a great weekend to go to the movies, ladies and germs. And that'll do it for a justified edition of Jeffrey Michaels Movie Reviews Extravaganza. Until next time, happy movie watching, everybody! See y'all next time!